What's up, Buttercup? Welcome back to my channel. Today's original tag is Rock On Celtic Songs book tag. I'm putting on a readathon, namely the Celtophile Readathon, for the full month of March, and I promised a book tag that's Celtic themed. Before jumping into the questions and my answers, if one or more of these questions are too specific, you can choose a book that you haven't read. And there are a lot of Celtic songs that are very, very old, and there are many covers of them. So I'm just choosing the covers that I enjoy for these particular Celtic songs. And then of course there are rock songs sprinkled in. So let's get started. On the first question, number one, Drunken Lullabies by Flogging Molly, a book involving a celebration that you enjoyed reading. And I'm gonna go with The Masque of the Red Death by Edgar Allan Poe because why not? It's dark, it's violent, it's macabre, it's basically perfect in every way possible. Thank you so much. I just really enjoy Edgar Allan Poe's vibe, if you haven't already noticed. Number two, The Parting Glass by Ed Sheeran, a book that left you feeling bittersweet because it ended. And I'm going with the Emily Wilde series by Heather Fawcett because it's only a trilogy, so she's not going to write as of now. But she said she's not going to write more books. It's just a trilogy. And, you know, I can appreciate her stopping because she could go on and on and on and on and kind of make it a little meh. Like if you get to, 9 books or something, the story, the characters, just the overall vibe, it probably would fade, right? Because you're just pushing on a little too much. So I understand Heather's inclination to just keep it at 3 books, but I just really love Emily Wilde and that whole series. So I understand, but I do want more, but I know we don't want more. That's why it's bittersweet. Duh, hello. Okay, moving on. Number 3, Rebel Yell by Billy Joel, a book you read because someone told you not to read it. And I'm gonna go with Blood Air. Some people tried to cancel me on Twitter back in 2018, when it was still Twitter, because I said that Blood Air should be published and it should not be pulled from publication. And why are we basing all of that on just, I don't know, like a handful, maybe? I don't even know. It was just a handful of ARC readers that read Blood Air that said that it was wrong to publish for XYZ reasons, and it was just stupid, outright stupid. And I'm glad that the writer decided to retract her apology, because that was a BS apology, and to move forward with not only publishing Blood Air, but the other 2 books in the trilogy. Good for her. I read that book like 2018, 2019, because people were telling me not to read it because these 5 ARC readers said that it's inappropriate and it should be pulled from publication. Yeah, don't tell me what to do. Don't tell me what to do. I can be very, very petty. And I was petty that day. I've mentioned this before, but yeah, I surprisingly got like a bunch of dislikes and a bunch of unfollows on my videos and on my YouTube channel and on Twitter. And I was like, oh, okay. Really? We're really doing this passive aggressive crap? Yeah, because that's what booktube during those days, and even kind of now, that's what happens. People don't come to you to talk it out because you're not usually friends with those people. They are just trying to use you to climb up the ladder, and those were the exact people, that didn't want to talk to me privately or even just like in public. It was disliking 20 of my videos in a row. and then unfollowing me, and then some of them blocked me. And I'm sure some of them were tweeting about me. But I was on the same page as writer and former booktuber Francina Simone, so it wasn't like I was the only one, but she was also getting crap, and there were a few others that were getting crap on booktube and I'm sure on other platforms, but we stood through it. I have no regrets saying that Blood Air should be published and the writer shouldn't have apologized. If you're interested in that whole controversy, even though it was in 2018 and it's all good, you can look up Francina Simone's video about that controversy. I'm pretty sure it's still up. But yeah, that book, I read it just to piss people off. Don't tell me what to do, y'all. Number 4, Starman by David Bowie, a sci-fi book about aliens. And I'm going to go with Arrival by Ted Chiang because I watched the movie and it was fine. I'm not going to read the book. I don't like sci-fi, but when I was thinking about rock songs, I was like, I need to include a David Bowie song. It's fine. Oh, and for people that say that David Bowie isn't rock, shh, okay? Shh. Number 5, Shipping Up to Boston by Dropkick Murphys, a fiction or nonfiction book set in or around Boston, Massachusetts. And I'm going to go with Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. I gave it 2 stars. I don't understand the hype, but a lot of people really loved the book. And yeah, it's set in Boston, so I'm going with it. Number 6, The Bonnie Banks of Loch Lomond by Ella Roberts, a book that's centered around nature, or the cover is very nature-centric. And you know what? I'm going with my book, The Two Foxes. Gorgeous cover, if I do say so myself. It took 2 tries. This is the second cover that I tried out. Love it. The story is mainly set in or around the forests of Massachusetts, the Massachusetts Bay Colony in the 1650s to be specific, and nature plays a big role in this novel. Number 7, Trois Recruiting Sergeants by Seamus Kennedy, a fiction or nonfiction book about war, and I'm going with The Art of War because obviously, I read this quite a few years ago. I got a special edition copy from Barnes & Noble. Love it. I basically bought it for my husband, but then I was like, I'm gonna read it. So there's a lot of interesting insights in The Art of War. That's why it's so popular even today. And I'm really glad that I found that copy because it is gorgeous. Number 8, Molly Malone by The Dubliners, a book with a badass female main character, and I'm going to go with Fair Game by Patricia Briggs. Anna is a very strong young woman. She went through a lot of abuse, not just because she was forcibly turned into a werewolf, but then she was highly abused by her pack members for a solid 2 years until Charles, the son of Bran, who is basically the leader of werewolves in North America and kind of sort of in the world because he's so damn old and powerful. Charles goes and helps her out and they fall in love. But of course, with all that abuse that happened to Anna for 2 straight years, probably even more, maybe it's 3 years. Either way, horrible. She has to overcome a lot of anxiety and PTSD, and I think Patricia Briggs writes Anna and her situation very well. Number 9, An Irish Pub Song by the Rumjacks, a book that's misunderstood. And I'm gonna go with The Sun Also Rises by Ernest Hemingway. I had a deep conversation about this particular novel with my husband, and it is really about World War I and the after effects of war. And you can see that with all of the characters, of course, especially with the main characters, but yeah, all of the characters, even the female character, they're messed up from the war. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. So they go into The Sun Also Rises and they think that it's just useless writing, and that's not the case. Now, is it for everyone? No. Would I recommend The Sun Also Rises to people like 50% of the time? No. However, it does have its purpose. It does serve a purpose, and it doesn't particularly have a plot. So it's not a plot-driven novel, it's a character-driven novel, but of course that makes sense if you know that it's about World War One and talking about the horrors of World War One and what it did to basically everyone. Even if you weren't in the war, like the women had a really hard time as well. Of course, not the same as the men who went to war, but everyone was affected because of World War One in some form or another. And so you see a woman dealing with that because she's friends with this big group of men, and those men went to war, and a lot of them are physically scarred, but all of them are mentally and emotionally scarred. And how do you go back to life after a huge world war that lasted years, and you just don't talk about your emotions or what happened? So there's a lot of anger and a lot of masking emotions and PTSD, and at that time that's not a thing. Shell shock was known, but like that still wasn't an excuse to like talk about your feelings, and it still wasn't like acceptable, but like there were soldiers that like you really couldn't not see that they were affected, but then they were kind of like shush, you know, to the side, put them in a mental institution, or, you know, keep them in the house. But what about all the other men that, you know, not the extreme PTSD or shell shock, but just they've seen their friends get killed, and for what? Really, for what? And so, you know, they're not having psychosis and panic attacks, and they don't know where they are and all that stuff, but they still have PTSD, but that's not a thing back then. So it's a very interesting novel, very character driven, and you need that backstory to understand why The Sun Also Rises is as it is. All right, number 10, it's not a question, but it's all about tagging people. And get ready, y'all. Get ready. I'm gonna tag a bunch of people because for the month of March, we need to just spread this tag all over the place to celebrate the Celts, the Irish specifically, because March is all about St. Patrick's Day, and we have the Celtophile Readathon and even the Irish Readathon. It's all about, you know, Ireland and the Celts this month. So let's start out. John, Mark, Philip, Elaine, Alan, Greg, Jen, Kevin, already booked, Debs, Flossie, Book Ramble, Book Buds, Stuart, Adventures in Literature, Albert the Conqueror, Gareth, Pat, Charles, Dylan Morris, Alex Unbridged, Genre Books, Kat, Chris, Tad, Beyond Books, and Margaret Pinard. Thank you so much for watching my original tag, Rock On Celtic Songs. I hope you enjoyed this tag. Please tag me if you do this tag because I want to watch it and share it with the world. Thank you so much for watching again, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.